ready to implement this policy into school is a very important step which has to be taken. All the requirement, all the technological base as well as the pedagogical base are the very important pedagogies which has to be used at various stages.
Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Stay Curious, our podcast. Swami Vivekananda once said, education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Education is the pursuit of knowledge and is the willingness to acquire new skills in our life. For far too long, the education system of our country has been shackled and plagued by rote memorization and standardized test scores. This has stifled critical thinking among students. The government of our country passed a document which seemed comprehensive overhaul of the education structure in our country. Can you guess what document I am talking about? Absolutely correct. I am talking about the National Education Policy of 2020 or NEP 2020. And to shed some light on this very topic, we have with us
Dr. Pandurang Pandit, the officiating principal of Ganpat Parsekar College of Education.
We heartily welcome you, sir, for today's podcast. So as we all know, the Government of India passed National Education Policy in year 2020. What, according to you, were the key motivations behind passing this particular policy, and also whether it was a well-thought, well-researched policy or just a knee-jerk reaction?
Okay. I feel it was a well-devised policy because when we understand this age-old education system, we have the mindset of 19th century, the processes of 20th century, and skills to be developed of 21st century. The education system which we have is based on the old national education policy which was framed in 1986, which looked into equity and equality of education. But something which was forgotten was quality of education. So because of that, the government of India took an initiative to change this old age policy and bring into transformation in the education system.
Very well said, sir. So the natural follow-up question that follows would be whether the implementation of this particular policy has started in Goa, and also what are the different stages of this particular policy?
Yes, the implementation of this policy has started in Goa. It has started at foundation stage for school education, and it has started in the higher education also. When we look into school education, it has started in phase-wise manner. As everybody knows that the phases are, it starts with foundation of education, which is for 5 years. Then next 3 years will be for preparatory stage. Then another 3 years will be for middle stage, and another 4 years will be for secondary stage. So government of Goa has taken initiative to start with the foundation stage.
Very well said, sir. So the natural follow-up question that pops up in my mind is, how is this National Education Policy, NEP 2020, going to affect the students of integrated B.Ed course or general B.Ed courses?
Okay, very nice question. See, teachers will be taking this National Education Policy forward, and I feel that the students who are studying in this teacher training programs like BSc B.Ed program or regular 2-8 B.Ed programs are the future who will be taking this education policy forward. So making them ready to implement this policy into school is a very important step which has to be taken. Now, considering the present curriculum which everybody is following, it is the age-old curriculum which is not suited as per the National Education Policy. But Government of India with National Council for Teacher Education has come up with a curriculum for Integrated Teacher Education Program called as ITEP, which will be having 3 courses: BSc B.Ed course, BA B.Ed course, and BCom B.Ed course, a 4-year integrated program which is presently piloted in various colleges all over India. And this course will be designed in such a way that all the requirement, all the technological base as well as the pedagogical base which is required for a teacher to implement this policy in school education will be given to the student. So government of India has taken this step to initiate and reform the B.Ed curriculum also.
Yes, sir. So, if I'm not wrong, you have also done your PhD thesis on the topic inquiry-based learning
Yes.
in building life skills. Am I correct, sir?
Well,
So, how are the findings of this particular research thesis applicable in restructuring the education structure?
okay. If you go through the new education policy, or what we call presently as National Education Policy 2020, inquiry-based learning and experiential learning are the very important pedagogies which has to be used at various stages while transacting content in the school. So for that reason, when I did my research in the school, there was two parts wherein I did one survey to find out how much is the awareness of the school teacher related to inquiry-based learning and are they using it in the teaching learning process. Second was the use of inquiry-based learning, is it useful in the teaching learning process? That was my experiment which was there. So what I found through this study is that teachers were not aware about inquiry-based learning, and that's why they were not using inquiry-based learning in the classroom situation. They were using experiential activities, but how to structure these experiential activities in inquiry-based learning was a big question for me. Next, what I did in my research was, is this inquiry-based learning is really useful and will it develop 21st century skills in the student? And that is what I found out, that after implementing inquiry-based learning strategies on students, the students were getting developed with critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, decision-making skills, problem-solving skills, and obviously these are 21st century skills which are required. And new education policy also says that these are the important skills which we want to develop in the student.
So, why has the pre-primary education, as we know, has been put under the ambit of this particular national education policy? Because previously it was not a part of this. So why now suddenly has it been put under this?
Okay. The previous education structure, if you see, it was 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern, wherein the child is to go into school at the age of 6. That is in the first standard. And the pre-primary education was taken care by WRD, that is Women and Child Development, wherein it was Anganwadis, Balwadis, wherein the child used to go, and some type of education was given to them. Also, if everybody knows that there were other pre-primary schools wherein nursery, kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2, all these type of education were going on. But there was no proper formal education which was given at both the phases, that is in the KG as well as in Anganwadis. Now what has happened in new education policy, what they are saying is that we have to include pre-primary education also into the ambit of education system, and that is a very important part of foundations of education. It is said that if a child language has to be developed, it will get developed very particularly at the earlier stages. And that's why if you bring a child at the age of 3 in the formal education system, there will be a greater development of the child. And that is the reason that Government of India with National Education Policy, the pre-primary education, that is the nursery education, kindergarten 1, kindergarten 2, has come under ambit of school education, and government will be funding the pre-primary education also. That will start from 3 years onwards.
Yes, sir. Indeed, sir. It was really an informative discussion. Thank you very much for joining us and having spared us your invaluable time.
Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge also.
To our audiences, thank you very much for tuning in with us. We will be back with yet another episode of informative discussions. Please follow us on our Instagram and stay curious.